The great hall of the Galactic Council was silent when the humans entered. The other species had gathered from every corner of the galaxy. Their eyes, glowing, shifting, or unblinking, all turned to the small group of humans who walked with steady steps. To the Council, humanity was still young, still weak, and still learning. They had invited humans as a courtesy, not because they expected wisdom. But the silence was heavy. It was the kind of silence that came before storms. At the center, a tall alien with skin like polished stone spoke. His voice was deep, almost like rolling thunder. "Humanity," he said, "we have called you here so you may understand your place. You are fragile. You are violent. You are reckless. And yet, you surprise us by surviving where others fall. We will hear your words, but know this: your kind is not yet ready to stand among us." The humans did not answer right away. They looked small in that chamber. Their suits were plain compared to the glittering robes, the shimmering scales, the radiant wings of the other delegates. Some aliens even smirked, certain that humans would bow their heads, grateful just to be invited. But the humans did not bow. One of them, a man with calm eyes, stepped forward. His voice was steady, and though he spoke in simple words, every word carried weight. "You believe we are fragile," he said. "But fragility is not weakness. You believe we are reckless. But risk is what keeps us alive. You call us violent. Perhaps we are. But that violence is not mindless. It is the fire that forges our will." A wave of whispers ran through the hall. Some aliens laughed softly, others frowned. No one had ever spoken like this to the Council. The stone-skinned alien narrowed his eyes. "You speak boldly for a species that has barely touched the stars." The human did not step back. "We speak boldly because boldness is the only reason we are still here. For thousands of years, we lived on a world that tried to kill us every single day. Storms, beasts, fire, ice. Nature tested us without mercy. And when that was not enough, we tested each other. We fought wars, we destroyed ourselves, and still we rebuilt. Every time we broke, we rose again." The chamber grew tense. The other species, most of whom came from gentler worlds, could not imagine such a history. To them, survival was simple. Their planets gave them peace. Their evolution was slow and careful. Humanity's words carried a shadow that unsettled them. The man's voice grew stronger. "You wonder why we survive. It is because we never accepted death as final. We buried our dead, but we carried their names forward. We looked at the sky and said, 'We will go there.' Even when we lacked the tools, even when the fire was small and the night was cold, we still said, 'We will go there.' And now we are here." An alien with long silver tendrils hissed, "Arrogance. You speak as if you belong among us already." The man's lips curved into something between a smile and a challenge. "We don't belong here because you invited us. We belong here because we came." The words struck the hall like thunder. For the first time, the laughter stopped. For the first time, some of the proud delegates shifted uncomfortably. The stone-skinned alien leaned forward, his voice lower now, more careful. "And what do you offer the Council, humanity? What do your words mean?" The human looked around the hall, at beings older, larger, and more powerful than his species. His voice was steady. "We offer truth. You hide from struggle. You avoid pain. You live long, but you live soft. You fear death so much you never truly live. We, however, have walked with death since the beginning. And it has taught us one lesson: everything ends unless you fight to keep it alive. That is why we endure. That is why we rise. That is why, when the storms come, we do not break. We bend, we bleed, we burn, but we do not break." The silence was different now. It was not the silence of arrogance, but the silence of doubt. Some of the delegates stared at the humans with new eyes. Others clenched their jaws, refusing to admit the chill that had touched them. And in that moment, the Council realized something dangerous. Humanity had not come to beg for a place. Humanity had come to remind them of something they had forgotten. The man's final words echoed through the chamber. We are human. We are fragile. We are reckless. We are violent. And yet, we are still here. Remember that. The great hall remained silent, but the illusion was broken. The aliens no longer looked at humans as small. They looked at them as something far more unsettling. Something they had not expected. Something they could not control. The council chamber did not return to peace after the human's speech. Something had changed, something sharp that cut through the polished words and glowing symbols of diplomacy. The alien leaders shifted uneasily. Their eyes, tentacles, wings, and glowing orbs all seemed restless. For centuries, they had believed their wisdom was final. They had seen themselves as guardians of the galaxy. And yet, this young species, these fragile humans, had spoken with a fire none of them carried anymore. The stone-skinned alien finally broke the silence. His voice was slower now, heavier. Your words are bold, human. But words are easy. Any being can speak of struggle. Do you expect us to believe without proof? The man with calm eyes did not flinch. He simply said, You already have proof. We are the proof. We should not exist. Yet here we stand. A ripple of murmurs passed through the hall. Some aliens nodded slightly, troubled but thoughtful. Others were offended, their pride burning. One alien rose suddenly. It was tall, with long silver tendrils that shimmered like liquid metal. Its many eyes glowed with cold light. Enough, it hissed. I see what this is. Humans want respect. But they are still children, loud and wild. They do not understand the cost of survival. They speak of death as if it is a game. The human's gaze turned to it, steady and calm. We do not play with death, he said. We bury it. We carry it. Every child we lose, every friend, every soldier, it does not vanish. It stays with us. That is why we do not forget. That is why we keep moving forward. The tendrilled alien leaned close, its voice like a whisper of knives. You think pain makes you strong. But pain breaks all things. It will break you, too. The human's reply was quiet, but the words cut deeper than any blade. Maybe. But before it breaks us, we will break everything that tries to stop us. The hall fell silent again. It was a dangerous silence. For the first time, the council felt something they had not felt in ages. Not anger. Not offense. Something far older. Something they thought they had left behind when they formed their mighty alliance. They felt fear. The stone-skinned alien raised one hand. His voice was commanding, as though to hide his own unease. Enough. The council is not a place for threats. Humanity, if you wish to stand among us, you must show more than pride. You must show value. What do you offer the galaxy? The human's calm eyes swept across the room. He did not rush. He let the silence grow heavy again before he answered. We offer what you have forgotten, he said. We offer the will to fight when the night is darkest. We offer the courage to lose everything and still rise again. We offer the fire that does not die. The words seemed simple, too simple, but they struck something in the minds of the other species. The longer they sat with them, the sharper they became. One alien delegate, covered in soft glowing feathers, spoke in a trembling voice. You speak of fire. But fire destroys. It consumes. It leaves nothing. The human nodded slowly. Yes. Fire destroys. But it also warms. It lights the way. Without it, you sit in darkness forever. Fire is danger. But without danger, there is no life worth living. The chamber trembled with whispers. The council had gathered countless species, each proud, each old, each wise in its own way. Yet none of them spoke with such raw conviction. None of them carried words like weapons. and that was when they began to see it. Humanity's strength was not in their ships, not in their weapons, not even in their science. It was in their will, in their refusal to bow, even when the universe told them they should. The stone-skinned alien finally leaned back, his expression unreadable. His voice was slow, almost thoughtful. "You are dangerous, humanity. More dangerous than you appear. Perhaps that is your true gift." The human gave the smallest of nods. "We are dangerous. But danger is not always the enemy. Sometimes it is the only thing that keeps the dark away." The words hung in the vast chamber like sparks in dry grass. The fire had not yet spread, but everyone could feel it waiting. For the first time in countless years, the Galactic Council was unsettled. Their illusions had cracked, and humanity had only just begun to speak. The chamber was no longer calm. The aliens who once sat with pride now whispered in low tones, their voices sharp with unease. For ages, they had believed themselves untouchable, the peak of wisdom and power. Yet in a single day, humanity had shaken the ground beneath them. The humans stood quietly. They did not shout. They did not argue. Their silence was heavier than words. It forced the council to face a truth they had long ignored. One of the elder beings finally rose. Its body glowed faintly, like a star burning low. It was older than entire human civilizations, older than Earth's first pyramids. Its voice carried with it the weight of centuries. "Humanity," it said, "your fire is strong, but fire is blind. You may burn bright, but you may also destroy yourselves and others. Why should the council allow such chaos into its circle?" The human who had spoken before raised his head. His voice was calm, but every word cut through the chamber. "You speak of chaos as if it is only destruction. But without chaos, there is no change. Without change, there is no growth. You live long, but you live the same. We live short, but every year, we are not the same as before." The elder tilted its head. "You believe this makes you strong?" The human's reply was sharp, but steady. "Yes. We learn faster because we must. We adapt faster because we must. And when we fall, we rise faster, because we must." The silence grew thick again. The alien delegates were listening now, not out of courtesy, but because something deep inside them could not look away. From the far side of the hall, another alien spoke. Its form was vast, covered in shifting scales that shimmered like oil. Its voice was smooth, but laced with disdain. "You speak as if you are proud of suffering. Do you not see how dangerous that is? You chase storms instead of shelter. You run into battles instead of avoiding them. You are reckless to the point of madness." The human's lips curved slightly, not quite a smile. "Yes. We are reckless. But it is that recklessness that carried us into the stars. If we had waited for safety, if we had feared the unknown, we would still be staring at the sky from the dirt. You fear risk. We embrace it. That is why you are watching us, and not the other way around." The alien's shimmering scales flickered with irritation. Around the chamber, more whispers spread. Some delegates looked furious, others, thoughtful. And then, from the corner of the council, a softer voice broke through. It belonged to a small alien, its body no larger than a child, its voice trembling. "Perhaps they are not wrong. Perhaps their fire is what we have lost." The words shocked the room. It was rare for any delegate to admit weakness, rarer still in front of so many rivals. But the small being looked at the humans with something no one else had shown yet. Respect. The stone-skinned leader raised his heavy hand, demanding silence once more. His voice rolled through the chamber like thunder. "You have made us listen, humanity. But do not mistake this for victory. Words are only wind. You say you are strong, but strength must be proven. Tell us, if darkness came upon this galaxy, what would you do? What would humans do when the storm was greater than all of us?" The human's eyes swept across the vast chamber. He could feel the weight of every gaze. Slowly, he answered. We would do what we have always done. We would fight. Not because we believe we cannot fall, but because we refuse to kneel. Even if the storm is greater than us, we would rise again, and again, until the storm broke. That is humanity's promise. The council stirred. Some laughed bitterly, some muttered in fear, and others remained silent, thinking. The stone-skinned alien leaned closer. And if you fall? If humanity burns itself to ash? The human's voice was quiet, but it rang across the chamber like a hammer against steel. Then we will burn so brightly that the galaxy will never forget we were here. The hall froze. Not a whisper, not a sound. In that moment, the council understood something terrifying. Humans were not speaking of survival. They were speaking of defiance against the very end itself. A kind of defiance no other species dared to carry. And it was then, in the silence, that the illusion truly shattered. Humanity was not small. Humanity was not fragile. Humanity was not a child among giants. Humanity was a storm waiting to rise. The chamber was still heavy with silence when the alarms began to sound. A low pulse echoed through the walls, sharp and urgent. The council chamber, a place of calm speeches and long debates, shook with sudden energy. Holographic symbols flashed in the air, bright red warnings spiraling across the vast dome. Delegates turned in confusion. Some rose to their feet, their wings flaring, their tendrils twitching, their eyes glowing in alarm. The council had not heard such alarms in centuries. The stone-skinned leader's voice thundered. Report. An attendant rushed forward, its many limbs trembling. A breach on the outer ring, it said. Unknown fleet approaching. Defensive systems are engaging, but, it hesitated, its voice lowering. But they are failing. The chamber erupted. Voices overlapped, shouts of fear and disbelief filled the air. Some species demanded immediate evacuation. Others called for shields, for weapons, for anything. But the humans stood still. The man with calm eyes looked upward, his face lit by the flashing red lights. There was no panic in his gaze. Only focus. The stone-skinned alien turned to the humans. Do you know of this? Is this some trick? The human shook his head. No. But this is your test. Not ours. The stone-skinned alien's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? The human's voice was steady. You asked what humanity would do if the storm came. Now the storm is here. And you. He swept his gaze across the chamber. You are afraid. The words cut through the noise like a blade. The chamber went quiet again, but the alarms still wailed in the background. One of the feathered delegates rose, its voice sharp with fear. The fleet is too large. Our defenses will not hold. We must flee. The human turned toward it. His expression was almost sorrowful. You run at the first sign of fire. But running will not save you. If they break through here, there will be no safe place to run. The silver-tendrilled alien hissed, anger mixed with fear. Then what would you do, human? What wisdom does your fire give now? The human's reply was quiet, but carried through the chamber like thunder. We would fight. Always. Even if the fight is hopeless. The delegates murmured again, torn between disbelief and fear. The stone-skinned leader raised his heavy hand. Enough. Humanity, if your words mean anything, then prove them. Stand with us now. If you fall, your fire dies here. If you succeed, perhaps we will listen. The human gave a single nod. Then open the gates. Let us fight. Moments later, the humans were escorted to the outer ring. The corridors of the council station shook as distant explosions echoed through the metal. The vast windows revealed shadows in the void, an approaching fleet, ships bristling with weapons, moving like predators through the dark. The council guards looked terrified, unsure if they could hold the line. Some whispered that the humans were mad, that they would only die. But the humans walked calmly, their steps steady, their eyes sharp. They were few, but there was something in their faces the guards had not seen before. A readiness. A fire. At the defense station, the human leader looked over the systems. Alien officers struggled with panic, their hands moving too quickly, their voices shaking. The humans stepped in without hesitation. "Redirect power to the forward shields," the leader ordered. His voice cut through the chaos. "Angle the turrets toward their entry path. Don't spread the fire. Focus it." The alien officers froze. You understand our systems?" The human gave a short nod. "War is war. Technology may change, but battle never does." The station shook again. Another explosion, closer this time. Fear spread through the ranks. Some aliens backed away, muttering prayers to their ancestors. But the humans did not pray. They prepared. One of them, a woman with sharp eyes, locked her hands on the weapons controls. "If they want a storm," she said softly, "we'll give them one." The fleet closed in. Bright flashes lit the void as enemy fire slammed into the council shields. The station shuddered, metal groaning. The council guards faltered. But the humans stood firm. And then, with fire in their eyes and steel in their hands, humanity answered the storm. The first volley roared out from the station's guns. Explosions tore through the void. The humans shouted commands, their voices fierce and clear. Slowly, the chaos began to turn into order. The council delegates, watching from the safety of the chamber, stared in disbelief. For the first time in centuries, they saw true defiance. For the first time, they saw a species that did not tremble at the shadow of death. They saw humanity fight. The void outside the council station was chaos. Enemy ships moved like shadows across the stars, their weapons burning bright as they hammered the station's shields. Each strike shook the walls, sending tremors through the defenders. For many species, this was the kind of storm they had always feared, a storm too strong to face. But for humanity, it was a storm they had been waiting for. The humans took command of the defense systems. Their voices cut through panic, sharp and steady. Where the council guards hesitated, humans acted. Where others saw fear, humans saw opportunity. "Focus fire on their lead ship," the human leader ordered. "Don't scatter your shots. Break one, and the others will hesitate." Alien officers looked uncertain, but the human certainty pulled them in. Slowly, they followed the commands. Turrets turned. Shields adjusted. The next volley struck not across the enemy line but directly at a single ship. The void lit up as the targeted vessel exploded, its hull tearing apart in a blaze of fire. For the first time, the enemy fleet faltered. The council guards gasped. The humans did not. "Again," the leader shouted. "Pick the next target. Break them piece by piece." The battle raged. Enemy fire kept pounding the station, burning through layer after layer of shields. But every time the shields weakened, humans redirected power, patching holes, reinforcing weak points. Their hands moved fast, precise, almost desperate, but never afraid. The woman at the weapons console gritted her teeth. "They're adapting. They're shifting their formation." The leader nodded. "Good. That means they're afraid. Hit them harder." The station's guns roared again, bursts of energy tearing through the dark. Another enemy ship erupted into flame. Another shadow was gone. In the council chamber, the delegates watched the battle unfold on vast holographic displays. Their voices were hushed now, no longer filled with panic, but with disbelief. They had expected humans to die quickly. They had expected fire and fury to burn out fast. Instead, they saw humans fighting like they had nothing to lose. The feathered alien delegate whispered, almost to itself. They fight as if death is nothing." The silver-tendrilled alien hissed softly, but its eyes were locked on the screens. "No, they fight as if death is certain. And that is worse." Back in the defense ring, the battle grew darker. The enemy fleet pressed harder, their numbers overwhelming. The station shook again and again, sparks flying, fires breaking out across the corridors. An alien guard cried out. "Shields are down to 30%. The human leader's reply was fierce. "Then make 30% count." The humans pushed harder, their voices raw, their bodies tense. Every strike they ordered, every adjustment they made, carried the weight of survival. Then, with a deafening roar, the enemy breached the outer defenses. Small assault ships broke through, rushing toward the station like wolves at the throat. The human leader did not hesitate. "Seal the inner gates. Bring all guns forward. Don't let them inside." The humans at the weapons stations unleashed everything. The void lit up with fire as the assault ships closed in. 2 were destroyed, burning bright in the dark. A third broke through, crashing into the station's outer ring. The impact shook the corridors. Screams echoed as alarms blared. But the humans did not break. They left the consoles, weapons in hand, and rushed toward the breach. The alien guards hesitated. Some froze in terror. But the humans charged without fear, their voices rising in a battle cry that carried through the halls. The enemy soldiers poured into the station, their forms strange and twisted, their weapons glowing. They expected chaos. They expected panic. Instead, they found humans waiting. The first clash was brutal. Energy fire filled the corridors, metal walls scorched with heat. The humans fought with everything: guns, blades, even bare hands when the weapons ran dry. They moved with reckless courage, refusing to give an inch. The alien guards watched in disbelief. These humans, so few, so fragile compared to the armored invaders, stood like giants. They fought not to survive, but to defy. And slowly, impossibly, they held the line. In the chamber, the council delegates rose to their feet as the screens showed the fighting. The humans, covered in blood and smoke, did not fall. They burned. The stone-skinned leader's heavy voice rumbled low. "They fight, like the storm itself." For the first time in countless centuries, the council felt something stir deep within them. Something they had forgotten long ago. Hope. The corridors burned. Smoke poured through the air, alarms screamed, and the walls shook with the force of battle. The enemy had broken through, their twisted soldiers flooding into the council station like a tide of shadow. The council guards faltered, their weapons shaking in trembling hands. Many had never seen real battle. They were diplomats, not warriors. To them, war was a story from history. But to humans, war was memory. War was blood in their bones. The invaders surged forward, their armor black and gleaming, their weapons spitting fire. They expected the defenders to collapse. Instead, they met a wall of humans. The first clash was vicious. A human woman swung her rifle like a club, striking an enemy soldier down before firing into another. A man dragged a wounded guard behind cover, then rose and charged with nothing but a knife, slashing, stabbing, refusing to yield. Every human fought as if each breath was their last, and each breath was worth the galaxy. One by one, the enemy fell. Slowly, painfully, the tide slowed. But it was far from over. "More coming!" a human shouted, his voice hoarse. Shapes moved in the smoke. Dozens, maybe hundreds. The human leader wiped blood from his face, his calm eyes burning like fire. "Then we hold. No step back. Not one." The defenders roared in answer. Humans and alien guards alike, inspired by the unbroken will before them, lifted their weapons again. The corridor became a furnace of fire and steel. In the council chamber, the delegates stood frozen as the holographic screens displayed the battle. The sight was unreal. They saw humans fighting not like prey, not like children, but like creatures carved from iron and fury. The feathered alien delegate whispered, voice trembling, They are outnumbered 10-1. And still they stand." The silver-tendrilled alien hissed, its many eyes fixed on the screens. "It is not possible. They should be broken. No species can fight like this." The stone-skinned leader's gaze was heavy, his voice low. "No species but one. Another explosion rocked the station. Flames burst across the outer ring, sealing off escape routes. The council chamber itself shook. Fear spread through the delegates. Some shouted for evacuation. Others demanded surrender. But none could look away from the humans on the screens. The invaders pressed harder. Their weapons burned bright, their claws tearing through defenses. Humans fell, blood painting the walls, but even in death, they did not break. A wounded soldier, his body barely standing, pulled the pin from a grenade and staggered into the enemy, a final defiance that tore through their ranks. The council delegates gasped in horror. The humans did not. Because to them, it was not horror. It was honor. The human leader's voice carried through the comms, reaching every corner of the defense ring. Listen to me. They think we will break. They think we will run. Show them the truth. Show them humanity. The defenders rallied. The corridor shook with their cry. Guns roared, blades flashed, and the tide slowed again. In the chamber, the stone-skinned leader rose to his full height. His deep voice carried above the chaos. Council, look well. These humans, you called them fragile. You called them reckless. You called them violent. And you were right. He pointed at the screen, where bloodied humans fought with fire in their eyes. But you forgot what that means. Fragile does not mean weak. Reckless does not mean foolish. Violent does not mean mindless. It means they will not stop. It means they will not kneel. It means, his voice thundered, that they are stronger than us all. The chamber was silent. Every delegate, every ancient species, stared at the burning screens and felt something cold twist inside them. For the first time, they wondered if it was not humanity who needed the council, but the council who needed humanity. Back on the front line, the enemy pushed once more. The corridor was nearly lost. The humans were bloodied, exhausted, their weapons nearly dry. The leader stood at the front, his calm eyes fixed on the advancing shadows. If this is the end, he said, his voice steady, then let it be a story worth telling. And with that, humanity charged. Not back. Not away. Forward. Straight into the storm. The humans charged. The corridor was a furnace of smoke and fire. Enemy soldiers filled it, their black armor glowing with cruel light. But the humans did not see death and retreat. They saw death and advanced. Their battle cry tore through the station. It was not the cry of a species begging for survival. It was the cry of a species daring the universe itself to try and break them. The clash was brutal. Blades against armor. Rifles burning until their barrels glowed red. Fists striking when weapons failed. Every human fought with the fury of a storm. And where humans led, the alien guards followed, their fear replaced by something new, courage. For the first time, the defenders fought not as scattered voices, but as one. The enemy pressed hard. More soldiers poured in, relentless and merciless. But the humans fought harder. They used every wall, every corner, every shadow. Wounded soldiers crawled forward to fire one more shot. Those with broken weapons grabbed enemy rifles from dead hands. And still they held. In the council chamber, the delegates leaned forward, unable to look away. They watched as humans, bloodied and broken, stood taller than giants. The feathered alien's voice trembled. They are not fighting to live. The stone-skinned leader answered, his tone deep and steady. No. They are fighting so the galaxy remembers. On the front line, the human leader stood at the very front. His calm eyes burned with fire. He raised his weapon high, even as enemy fire scorched his armor. Forward, he roared. Make them bleed for every step. Show them what humanity is. And the defenders answered with fire. The battle raged until the walls shook and the ground itself seemed to scream. But then, slowly, the tide began to turn. One enemy soldier fell. Then, another. Then a whole line. The humans' defiance spread like wildfire. The alien guards, once trembling, now fought with rage. They were no longer afraid. They were inspired. The council station, once thought lost, began to push the invaders back. The enemy hesitated. For the first time, their advance faltered. The human leader saw it. His calm eyes sharpened. "Now," he cried. "Push them. Break them." The defenders surged forward. Gunfire roared. Explosions shook the halls. The enemy, so sure of victory, began to fall back under the storm of fire and steel. One by one, their ships outside fell silent, burning wrecks drifting into the void. Inside, their soldiers broke, retreating through the smoke, their lines shattered. And then, silence. The last invader fell. The humans stood in the smoke, bloodied, exhausted, their bodies broken but unbowed. The corridor was littered with wreckage and fire. Yet in the silence, one truth was clear. The council station still stood. Because humanity had stood. In the chamber, the holographic screens went dark. The delegates stared in silence, their faces pale, their pride shattered. For centuries, they had thought themselves above struggle, above storms. And yet, in a single battle, humanity had shown them the truth they had long forgotten. The stone-skinned leader rose slowly. His heavy steps echoed through the chamber. His deep voice filled the hall. "Council, you have seen it with your own eyes. Humanity does not ask for a place among us. They have already taken it." No one spoke against him. Not one voice dared. The calm-eyed human entered the chamber, blood still on his armor, his weapon still in his hand. He stood before the council, not as a guest, not as a petitioner, but as an equal. His voice was quiet, but it carried through the vast dome. "You asked us what we offer. Now you know. We offer the fire that never dies. We offer the will that never kneels. We offer the storm that breaks the dark." The delegates bowed their heads, not in weakness, but in recognition. Humanity had come into the council chamber as children in the eyes of the galaxy. But they left as something else entirely. As a species that would never be forgotten. As a storm that could never be controlled. As humanity.